You're listening to Stellar Success, Leveling Up for Medical Pros with Dr. Tudor Francu. Join us as we explore how medical professionals can achieve stellar success in all areas of life. It's time to level up.
Hello, everyone. You're listening to Stellar Success podcast. I'm Dr. Tudor Francu, and I have the privilege today to have my guest, a very good friend, a very accomplished doctor and real estate investor, Dr. Reji John.
Hey,
How are you, Dr. John?
Tudor. Hey, everybody.
So, Dr. John, just
Thank you for having me,
tell us.
Tudor. Sorry.
Yeah, just tell us a little bit about your medical journey up to this day, and how did you get to this point?
Awesome. Thank you for having Tudor. It's good. We are from Houston. We live here in Houston. Me and my wife and our 4 pets and my kids are in college, but so we're sort of empty nesters at this point. Um, I am a transplant nephrologist by training. I grew up in India. Half of my life was in India. High schooling and undergraduate and medical schooling. I came to the United States in '98 as a research scholar, doing basic science research in vascular physiology at Texas Heart Institute in Houston. Spent my couple of years there in research and transitioned to clinical medicine. I did my internal medicine residency at UMass, University of Massachusetts Medical Center in Worcester, Mass. Did my nephrology fellowship and transplant nephrology fellowship at UT Southwestern in Dallas. My late wife was from Houston, so we wanted to be close to our family. We moved to the Houston, Southeast Texas area. And I joined a practice in an hour away from where I live in Houston, Southeast Texas, on Interstate 10 corridor.
Mm-hmm.
It's a town called Beaumont, and that's a central hub, but there are other satellite locations which we have. This was in '06 after my fellowship. And the reason I joined that practice is, America is a big country, and the opportunities are immense. And the way I look at it is the frontier. I'm not saying as an immigrant I'm a frontier, but that's the story of America. Americans, we immigrants come here and we push the boundaries on frontier, and that's what our fewer generations ago, the frontier folks pushed the boundaries what other people couldn't do. So the thought process was I joined a nephrologist in Southeast Texas, in Beaumont area, who is from a Canadian. Same thing, What's a Canadian doing in the deep South, right? The story he has was they had a salary cap in Canada in the '70s or the '80s, apparently, which drove a lot of Canadian physicians to move to other parts of the world, but the United States was the most the easiest way for them to get here because just across the border, right? So he came to the United States in this late '70s, and he looked at the demographics and the map of the United States where there was the largest incidence of kidney disease with fewer number of physicians or nephrologists, and Beaumont was one. So he set up shop and he started a dialysis clinic. Setting up a dialysis company as a physician is incredibly challenging because it's one of the most regulated industries, I think, in the United States. And as an immigrant, I just felt like I need to be an entrepreneur. And it's the spirit of being an entrepreneur, and America gives you that platform. And I liked his story. I said, I'm just going to join and see if I can be a part of his story and then grow that. And
So did you become an owner of that practice with him?
Right. So one is the owner of the practice, and in about 5 years, I became a partner. But that is just a part of the practice. I mean, that's a part of my story. The
Yeah.
bigger part was I became a business owner, which is I owned a dialysis company with him. He already had a sort of base and a network, and he already started the dialysis clinic. We started additional clinics. So from 2008 to 2019, we expanded. When he started off, it was 2 or 3 to 7. And I was part of 3 of that. So,
That's great.
um,
That's awesome.
yeah. So I never had experience in business, and navigating the healthcare business world, it was something that you learn on the job. No one teaches you in medical school
Yeah,
how to set
exactly.
up a dialysis clinic. Yeah, so I put my heart and soul into it, and as a nephrologist, as a business owner, we had the advantage because that's one of the few sort of businesses where a physician can own a practice 100%, I mean, own a business 100%, without violating Stark law. As you know, Stark law prevents physicians from owning majority healthcare facilities, but dialysis is one exception. So we own 100% of the dialysis facilities between, well, I did a part of it between '08 and my late wife passed in 2016, had young children. So I spoke with my partner saying, I think I need to spend time with my children. I would like to phase out of this. And so it's not easy to just walk away from a large dialysis company. And so over the course of 3 years, we managed to unload our practice. And he was also coming towards the end of his practice career, and so he said that's okay. So we sold it in 2019, and then I started another entrepreneurial journey.
Interesting.
So in addition to the practice, I owned a medical business too. So I
Great,
just want to
great.
tell you the story because if you're not a nephrologist, the Stark law is an interesting concept because, as you know, I just want to put that out because dialysis is exempt from Stark law and
Yeah.
a dialysis facilities. And that's where I'm
That's
today.
so right now, are you still owner in a medical business?
So after I sold the dialysis, after we sold, not I, we sold the dialysis company. So one of the requirements for the dialysis clinics is that they need a medical directorship. Every dialysis facility needs a medical directorship. So me and now my other physicians that I've hired have become the medical directors of the facilities that we offloaded. So
I see.
that's one part of a revenue stream. The second part of the revenue stream in the medical practice is my partner, who I joined in '08, I mean '06. He retired, so I became the sole owner of the practice, and I've hired physicians and nurse practitioners, and I'm the sole owner at this point. And eventually, I'm gonna partner and give some part of the partnership. I just want to follow the same model I started
Yeah.
and give ownership to people that are hired so that they feel valued and they can grow. And that's it's the mindset. I just want everyone to get rewarded in this wonderful country that I call home and I'm grateful for.
Yes,
So I'm the owner of
absolutely.
practice. That's one revenue stream. As I still see still see patients as a physician. And number two is I've expanded beyond that to vascular access management. So what is that? So we dialysis patients requires vascular accesses. So management of that is a huge, is a fairly big undertaking because dialysis patients need accesses all the times and management and maintenance. So we've worked with their vascular access group, and we are the management part of that vascular access. That's another revenue stream. The third business revenue stream is we opened a research company. We have approximately, I think, around 9,000 chronic kidney disease patients and close to 450 end-stage dialysis patients, which is a fairly big number for a practice compared to other parts of the United States. So this attracted some research, like pharmaceutical companies, and they've reached out to us. And so over the time, I realized, hey, yeah, if they're reaching out to us, let me form a company and use my medical practice and my dialysis patient population as a source of another source of revenue. So that's another source of revenue. So there are different sources of revenue at this point. That is
That's
the
great.
medical
That's great.
source of revenue.
Yeah, we're gonna talk more about this subject later on in the podcast because I have a couple of questions regarding those passive income streams. But let me just ask you, because the podcast is called Stellar Success, and I just want to know, in your view, what does success means to you?
Success means it's the dollar versus time. Time, passive income gives you time. Time is everything. We only have a short time period on earth. I don't have to tell. We are all intelligent folks. We recognize that. Working for a dollar is finite. And we physicians, we get sometimes bogged in that um, rat race, just keep circling around the hamster wheel, working to get a dollar. And I realized quickly earlier on from my mentor who owned the dialysis clinic that a second or a third stream, or actually more streams of income, can limit your, not limit, rather, give you the freedom to work as a physician without the need for income. That is an incredibly powerful tool. For me, that is success. I think all physicians do it because we love being physicians. I don't have to tell. I don't know of any physician who does not like to be a physician, but I think there are other factors that burns them out, that administrative work, not being reimbursed adequately, and not being acknowledged as far as financially, which is there. So I think that when physicians start to think and look at their mm, model ahead and see if I can look at different sources of streams of income, then I can work as a physician on my terms, and that is in my definition, success and freedom.
That's great. Yeah, it's a great definition, and I want to kind of follow up with some questions here on those income streams that you presently have. And I think one of the major questions that, in general, medical practitioners have is, what am I going to do after I quit my medical practice or I retire from my group or I can't do anything, office hours or surgeries or anything like that? What am I going to rely on? And as you mentioned, you already have several different other streams of income right now. What would be, in your view, a skill or a habit that you have day in and day out that you can say contributed the most to building those passive incomes streams?
So the key is, we physicians sometimes we get focused or bogged down in our profession, and we are very good at it. I think because we do this over and over again repeatedly, and sometimes that becomes a comfort. We it become sort of, I shouldn't say lackadaisical. I'd say we it's a comfort zone. So we just go into that state saying, I'm a good physician, and that's where I'll stop. We may have hobbies, but sometimes our hobbies are expensive. How do you fund that hobby without feeling the pinch of money, right? Um, the key is to constantly look for other avenues of income stream by exposing yourself, meeting people, asking people, like listening to podcasts like this, and networking. So networking is a generic term, but there are specialized networking events which can open your avenues, because you cannot read about everything. And sometimes going to specific targeted, say, podcasts or networking
Hmm.
events, yeah, you can gather so much in a short period of time
Right.
that you would never have heard of. There's so many opportunities that all of us can just get income. So if you just have to switch your mind to say that I just want to be an entrepreneur, maybe a couple of hours a day, just to think where other streams of income I can get. For me, it was just that immigrant spirit saying, I've come to this land of opportunity, which says, I don't care who you are, you just be someone who can deliver and you can thrive.
Yeah.
That sounds like a catchphrase, but that I think, Tudor, you're an immigrant and I'm an immigrant. I think
Yes,
that's work.
it's the working ethic
Exactly.
that we, in general, physicians that immigrated here have. We all have that, the working ethic, day in and day out.
Right. I think it's exactly, you come from the bottom and climb up, so you have the drive. But the one thing that has helped me day in and day out is almost consistently thinking of different avenue streams. You look back on the bigger picture of your umbrella and see, what else can I do in my practice where I can get revenue streams where I don't have to work for, put in my time for the dollar, right? So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
interesting.
but
Yeah,
that needs an intentional look into your life, right? And the way you live your life, and also into your practice. And it does not have to be medical, because there are, as I said, so many other sorts of passive income stream,
yeah,
and
and
it
it's
requires
interesting
intention.
because remember we personally met in a mentorship group, completely unrelated to medical
Absolutely.
practice. We were in a real estate environment mastermind, and like you said, it was a very focused subject and group that discuss only that issue, and that's how we met. So now, talking about the income streams from other activities other than medical, do you have any preferred investment strategies to create those income streams?
Absolutely. So when we sold our dialysis company in 2019, and we were looking at a seven-digit tax number. My wife and I and my other partners used their money differently, but um, my late wife passed in 2016, and I'm married again. I met my current wife, Haley, in a couple of years after my late wife passed. We got married in 2019. That's around the time when I sold my practice. And Haley was a faculty at a university close to the practice where I work at. And her husband was a cardiologist, and she was a colleague of mine, and that's how I got to know her. We got married in 2019. Haley transitioned from being a faculty at the university, and she also has a entrepreneur spirit in her, and always wanted to do something other than just earning for a living. And she realized, using a mentor, that commercial real estate is a place to go. Um, and Commercial real estate is a broad term. So,
Right.
and Haley said, so specifically, it can be so many avenues. It can be commercial real estate, can be office, it can be medical, it can be just storage spaces, or it can be multifamily apartments. And so we sat down and for several days and looked at what do we do with our money, and how can we get where do we put our money with the least tax burden. So we looked at the housing crisis that's happening in the United States, and I don't have to tell you, that's a completely different topic. We cannot build enough houses to support 340 million people in the United States. And it's just not possible. They just cannot generate that. So, multifamily is a place to go for, especially in the current uh, rate of interest rates and the income requirements to get a mortgage, et cetera, et cetera. It's just out of reach for most Americans. And so the renters in the United States are increasing rather than homeowners. And we thought that that's one of the places where we can spend a lot of time and energy. As I said, there are different avenues to getting passive incomes, but Haley and I thought, let's focus on one thing, get really good at this,
Hmm.
and understand how this works so we can dive into this and move from there. So, what we did is we asked around friends, family, relatives, networks, and they suggested one multifamily network event based out of Dallas. And we said, let's go and check it out. And we had a fair idea of what commercial real estate multifamily meant. And we attended this event for a couple of days. It was a 2 or 3 day event. And we realized the tax benefits and the depreciation that we get from the tax benefits immediately. It was a no-brainer. And I'm sure, like other revenue streams, like oil and natural gas, has depreciation too. But again, you cannot do everything, right? As I said, America is a land of opportunities. You can put your money anywhere, but if you know what you're doing for one stream, understand that. And so we
Like Tony Robbins
understood
said, what you focus on grows.
exactly. So absolutely, that's a totally accurate statement. So we spent time and energy over the past like over a year learning, understanding commercial real estate. We took several courses, spent close to $500,000, which is a lot of money, but a money worth well spent. And we invested and started investing in multifamily in 2019, and we are still doing that. And um, 7-digit tax from the sale of my dialysis clinic. I paid zero. And I'm
Yeah.
saying I
Yeah.
paid
This is
zero,
one of
and that
the,
is a legal.
yeah.
I'm sorry,
Th-
that is
yeah,
a
this,
legal way, and that is completely illegal. It's not something that you're hiding taxes, taking offshore for. That's the United States real estate tax law, which benefited us. Okay, and
right.
so, and specifically in multifamily, we cannot get that amount of leverage in single families. You can in certain models, but it is easier in multifamily model, and that's what we realized. And so we dug deep,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah, this is very
yeah, we're in full
important.
steam.
This is a very important point for our audience, right? Because we are, in general, medical professionals that are listening to this right now are probably in the same situation, most of them, and say, we're making, in general, as doctors and medical professionals, we make a lot of money. And
Right.
the problem is that we pay a lot of taxes too.
Absolutely.
And this is one of the main avenue that we can use, like you said, probably the principal reason to invest in multifamily, just because of the tax advantages you get legally. You don't have
Absolutely.
to, this is
No,
not a loophole or whatever, name they have for this, but it's a tax advantage that you can legally take. That's true.
absolutely. And
Um,
each physician and practice or person has their businesses structured in certain ways. Some get more tax advantages than the others, and we realize also having a good tax consultant or
yes.
tax advisor is so valuable. It's just like physicians. The public persona is that the physicians should be the same, but we all know there are some physicians that are better than the others, and some
Yeah.
physicians know more than the others. Some physicians are more specialized. And having a
Yes.
good tax consultant who understands multifamily real estate
Yeah.
will get the most bang for your buck. And that's another point that I want to say, which could be different say avenues too. Say if it's oil and natural gas, you would need someone who understands that business. So we
Yes.
found a tax consultant that
Yeah,
specializes in real
and
estate.
part of this so-called strategy, right, that you used in your example is the fact that you spent all that money that you said, almost $500,000 to educate yourself, to financially
Correct.
educate yourself. And this
Exactly.
is, to me, probably one of the main points that I want to make for our audience, that even if you don't know, or you think it's complicated, or you're afraid of doing stuff like this, um, I would say the first step is educate yourself as much as you can. Like you said, you went to some courses, some seminars, you network with people that are doing the same things, and that's how you learn. Investing in yourself first. Make a foundation financially so you understand some things, and then you can apply them.
Right.
I
Well,
like
first,
one of the CPA that, renowned CPA in the multifamily world has a say, and he always said, if you want to change your tax, you change your facts.
right.
So you need to
Good one.
know and connect to someone like this that can guide you through all this, whatever 10,000 pages the IRS code has, that nobody reads, but they do, right? So you need to network with qualified people.
Right. I think also, different people have different. So Haley and I, for the first 6 months on the multifamily journey, we were just passive. We were just sort of fly on the wall,
Yeah,
just listening to people, absorbing. And then you slowly, once you understand certain terminologies, we are physicians, we are specialists, we are smart people. We don't need 6 months,
yeah,
but the point is, we can absorb knowledge quickly and put together what this all means very quickly compared to, say, a 24-year-old realtor or someone like that, right? So,
right,
so the point is, just listen. The first few months can be uncomfortable because a lot of terminologies can be strange, and it doesn't may not make sense. But you just
yeah,
keep doing this over and over again. It's quick, and then yeah, it's easy, and then it's not it's an exact science. It's not like a physician where we can it's not a differential diagnosis.
right,
it's
right,
it's easy. It's a recipe. You just do this, you will make a higher income. You will get a tax break. So it's pretty much straightforward. It's a recipe, rather. And then,
yes,
so that's appeal to both Haley and I. I think, Tudor, that you may recognize the fact what I've talked about the differential diagnosis, whether and it's specific. You have metrics which tells us, hey, this
exactly.
is how much you can earn, right?
Yeah,
Right. So
yeah, yeah. No, I agree with that. Also, Reggie, I want to kind of ask you, related to this, creating those passive income streams. A lot of people consider this taking a big risk, right? Because they say, well, we're medical professionals, we want to practice medicine, and I don't really know much about anything else. It's a very high risk for me to do stuff like that in areas that I don't know about. How do you deal with taking risks? How do you deal with getting out of your comfort zone in general?
right. I I don't think you can be a Warren Buffett and invest in, banks and Coca-Cola. That's okay. That requires incredible scale, right? So, like if you're making pennies on your stock, it's you need scale. Well, that's one. Or if you so that is a relatively safe bet. He's invested railroads and a train, freight services, whatnot, right? So the good thing about real estate is this is something that is tangible. We can see and touch. One thing about commercial real estate as opposed to a single family home, say you can buy a home and you can rent it out, and that is still a fantastic business. You can get, unfortunately, there's a risk that you will get called at 3 o'clock at night that there's a toilet leaking and you got to go and fix that. Especially if you start scaling to three, four, five homes, you can say, yeah, I'm going to get property management for 3, 4 homes, but you're not scaling much. When you have 3 or 4 homes and you're getting a property manager, a lot of your revenue is consumed by or the profits are consumed by the property manager. So if you have, say, 100 units, you are using scale. So using the same property manager, instead of 4 or 5 units, you got 100 units. So in one specific location. And so that's the advantage of scaling.
Yeah.
I think I'm a little going off track, but the point is, I think you're asking about
The amount of
what,
risk, basically, right? Yeah.
right, right. So the risk factor. So the risk factor is apartments are tangible. They're not, say, Facebook. A Facebook company can vanish overnight because there's nothing tangible. Yeah, I get it. Facebook stocks go up, but the risk is there's nothing tangible. Real estate is here to stay. Real estate has been there for the past 10,000 years. And so it's not going to go away. And average apartments are here to stay. They're not going to go away. So as again, in real estate, even with the real estate, the risks. Office space right now in the United States, in downtown locations, are getting a little flagged because of work at home. Right, but medical establishment, medical offices, storage spaces, and Amazon warehouses spaces, those are expanding exponentially. Multifamily, we live in Houston. There are about 300 or 250 people moving into Houston every day. You cannot build a house for 250 people every day. They need an apartment. So
Yeah.
apartments are here to stay. So just looking at that big picture, the risk factor is almost nothing, right? One. Number two, so what about other risk factors like flooding or the fire burning the apartment or whatever? So in this case, you have insurance, right? So even if the apartment's down, it's tangible, right? So this tangible piece of land that you insured, so your money is not going to go away. It is attached. You're a property owner as an investor in an apartment. So
Yeah.
you still own that. So if the property goes away, the insurance pays for rebuilding the property and you're still the owner. So the risk is probably the lowest. Most physicians who have reasonable amount of income who are fairly comfortable are in their late 30s or their 40s. That's when you don't want to be putting money in cryptocurrency or random stocks that's coming on the internet that pops up for your family saying, hey, I found the stock. You want something that's going to grow, that's going to feel, touch, and the risk is so low because of the other mitigating factors that protects the loss of that your investment. And the other thing is, so commercial real estate in the multifamily space, every high net worth owners have a substantial portion of the investments. Say it's Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or anyone or smaller scale people, billionaires, multimillionaires, or millionaires like physicians um, who are with significant net worth have a fair amount of investment in real estate. It's either land, which doesn't have a cash flow, or a cash flowing investment like multifamily. And since I'm not a billionaire, I want cash flow. So I'm just an average millionaire, like all of most physicians, right? And I want cash flow. And so cash flow comes in with multifamily commercial real estate investment. So
Yeah.
when you ask about risks, the key is the fact that it's tangible. We need housing, and even if there's a catastrophe, it's covered by insurance.
Interesting. Yeah,
Hope
that's
answers the
true.
question.
I'm gonna switch gears a little bit now on a personal level, and um, you know, it's been recently a lot of talk about longevity issues and biohacking and nutrition, diets, and all this stuff. What is your daily thought and approach to, in general, to nutrition, fitness, health in general? How do you keep up with this?
I understand. I think that's so much noise, right? So you'd think um, that's a sort of an individualized your lifestyle choice. Personally, I'm 51, so I started noticing a change in my body, I think, in my mid 40s. I really didn't notice a huge change in my activity level or my endurance, um, say from my 30s to my 40s. But 45, I started noticing a little change. And I I had to do something to maintain, I want to maintain my quality. I swim. I used to play tennis, which I don't do that anymore, but I swim more than play tennis. I do yoga. My wife Haley and I, we jog and we do marathons. Those are the things that we do. We play pickleball and
Awesome.
yeah, thanks. And well, we dance just like you, Tudor, and we do no ballroom dancing. So we enjoy that as well. And those are my stories. So one of the things that I did was I chose to do intermittent fasting. So I thought that I want to maintain my body mass index around 25, and I've stuck to that, and I've remained 100 and between 175 and 180 pounds
Awesome.
since I was, I don't know, 25, I think, since I moved to the United States. I'm 5'10", so range between 125 and 180, somewhere
So
there.
what kind of
Uh,
intermittent fasting do you practice?
um, I do 16 and 8, means
Yeah.
I consume calories only in an 8-hour stretch. That's lunch between noon and the latest I go is 8 p.m. I don't consume any calories after that. And my
Yeah.
first caloric intake is 12 p.m. So that has helped me I mean, it takes a couple of weeks to get your body sort of used to the circadian, I mean, the Pavlovian reflex where, you
Yes.
skip a breakfast, your body is like, where's your breakfast, right? After 2 weeks, now if I ever have breakfast, say if I go on vacation or something like that, just to be a part of the social group, I do eat, but I mean, it's something that I just don't enjoy anymore, having
Yeah.
breakfast. But so
Nice.
that's my preference, right?
That's great.
And that is so over time, the intermittent fasting I've noticed has given me incredible amount of like clarity of thought for the first 6 to 8 hours of my waking day. If I wake up anywhere from 6 o'clock or so till about noon to 1, I have better clarity of thought um, uh, before having a meal. As soon as
Hmm.
calories take, that's when, well, we all need calories one way or the other. But the question is, if I can delay that, my clarity of thought is so much better than when I have calories.
Yeah.
And that's the
That's
one thing I've noticed in the past 6 years that I've been doing intermittent fasting. And the good thing is I've maintained weight. My blood work so far has been fairly good. I don't have any chronic illnesses. I don't take any meds. So I'm so fortunate at 51 not to have that. And is it the intermittent fasting or is it something else? My activity, my body weight. I don't smoke, just social alcohol consumption. It it's hard to know, but I think that's my strategy
yeah.
on the mindfulness. I meditate as uh, as much as I can using guided meditation apps. And recently, when we I've been using this guided meditation app called Mindtrix. That's MINDTRX.
Hmm.
We, which
I heard of
is
it. Yeah.
yeah, which is fascinating. Those are the strategies that we use,
That's
me
great.
and my
That's
wife.
great, Reggie. Yeah. So,
Thank you.
you're obviously your success, so to speak, is in different areas, including medical, personal. You seem to kind of, dial in everything on your life the way you want it. Is there any specific one advice or nugget that you would tell someone who wants to step in your footsteps?
I would start investing now. Invest without fear. Like most tangible things that you can invest will grow. Like not a random 12 o'clock 1-800 number call on your TV or a random junk box, junk mail thing that you click. The way you invest is, I think, what has worked for us is go to networking events,
Hmm.
soak in and understand, wait for a few months. That is also investment. Just going into an event, networking
Yes,
event is investment. It's not just go to an event, just giving you money. Soak in like one specific investment strategy, right? And then soak in as much as you can. Understand that you cannot know everything about everything, but after a while you get comfortable. That's one thing I would want you.
that's
You
great.
you got to start today. You you cannot say I will do it tomorrow, day after. You start today. That's the
That's
way.
awesome.
That's I wish someone, and find a mentor. That's another thing, because mentorship, what it does, I think you know that too. It takes, you can do jumps. You can, rather than walk. Mentorship, like the mentor will guide you to make jumps. And like, for example, Haley and I, we've been just like you. We've entered the multifamily space in 2019, so it's 5 years. That amount of knowledge is monumental for someone to have started. Like if I start this right now, looking back, we can provide that for someone else to jump, make
Exactly.
those jumps and not walk. So using a
Yeah,
mentor like Haley, who's wonderful, or you who've been doing this, is will really help in
yeah,
kickstarting the investment journey.
that's great. Well, thank you so much, Reggie. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast, and I'm sure listeners are taking a lot of notes out of this one. How can anybody can get in touch with you if they need more advice?
Oh, absolutely. So my email and is Reggie at rhcapitalinvest.com. So that's our company, RH Capital Invest, or my wife Haley at rhcapitalinvest.com. And
Awesome.
anyone's welcome to call me or text me. My cell phone number is 832-863-7763.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Reggie. I hope to have you maybe some other time on the show soon. And until then, wish you best of luck.
Thank you, Tudor. You too.
Thank you.
Take care.
That's a wrap on Stellar Success, Leveling Up for Medical Pros with Dr. Tudor Francu. Interested in joining us? Go to stellarsuccesspodcast.com/guest to apply. Stay stellar and level up.